Well, here's the interesting thing about that. When you live in that body, you're angry all the time. You're angry all the time. That never goes away. Even when you're happy, you're angry. And so that plays itself out in all of your interpersonal relationships. I have a very loving, sweet, wonderful husband who never judged me in any which way. But I judged myself, and it still impacted our relationship. I had a relationship with my mom. She was 96 pounds all of her life. She just couldn't figure out what had happened to her daughter. Like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you get this problem solved? She never stopped loving me. Because people have that about people that are overweight. They do. No matter how much they try to deny it, or no matter how much they try to not own that, they do. There is a very negative impact on people that are very overweight. And really, people that have 15 or 20 pounds to lose, they feel it too a little bit because it's not what they're used to. But when you're talking about being 50 or 60 or 70 or 100 plus pounds overweight, that's a deal breaker. That is a life-changing place to be. Because you become so accustomed to the physical weight, you start looking for the wider chairs, and when you go into a restaurant or when you go into a public place, you're looking for the aisle that is wider than the other aisle, because you don't want to find yourself somehow wedged or publicly exposed to what could happen to you if you somehow walk into a space that you're not fitting into. You are always the one, if there are 5 people in the car, you've got to be in the front seat passenger side, because heaven forbid if somebody should have to smash in with you in the back seat. I mean, that happened to me constantly. Well, this is the seat for Carol. I was the one with the old ladies waiting for the car to come pick us up. I couldn't walk to the car like the other women my age, or the people that I was with my own age, my own generation. I had to wait with the old ladies. And part of that was because my knees began to fail me. I spent a number of years in the pipeline for double knee replacement. I did Hyalgan shots in both knees for 6 months. That did nothing for me. And I remember being in the doctor's office and just bawling my eyes out. And he was a young guy, young doctor. He said to me, what's the matter? Like, what's really going on here? And I said, I can't believe I've done this to myself. From very early on, mid-teens almost, and I wasn't even that overweight at the time, but it was the 60s, and my mother was realizing that I was gaining weight. I was over what I should have been, even though I was pretty healthy at the time and active. I ended up in the doctor's office. He prescribed thyroid medicine for me. There was nothing wrong with my thyroid. I was on, I don't know if people remember this medication. It was an amphetamine called Black Beauties. They were black capsules, and I mean, you would be up for days with this medication, and I took many, 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 many years of those. And that only exacerbates the situation, because as soon as you stop doing that, I remember I lost 28 pounds in 30 days one time for a wedding. And almost the week after the wedding, I had gained like an enormous amount of that back. It was just crazy. At some point, 15 years in, I was diagnosed with diabetes type 2, which was the next logical progression. And I was of the mind that I didn't want to be tied to this medication. But of course, as a diabetic, you are tied to your medication. You get no choice in the matter unless you want to just get sicker and sicker and sicker, which you do anyway. So over the years, I was on insulin a couple different times. I was on a mountain of medication for diabetes. There's some little things begin to happen to your skin changes. You get this kind of itching sometimes. There are some physiological changes that happen that they don't tell you about any of that. And you know that that's what it is because when your sugar's in control and you're very good about what you're putting in your mouth, those things subside. But when you're out of control and not paying attention and not mindful, then you start to have all these little things happen. You are really sick, and you're the only one that seems to know it. The fact of the matter is that you're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Actually, it was not that long ago, maybe a couple of years ago. I had a problem. I was limping around one day at my job, and a couple women I worked with recommended a chiropractor to me, and I was not something that I had ever done before, was interested in doing. But as usual, when things stay with you for a long time, you begin to worry about them. So I did finally acquiesce and go to this chiropractor who, in essence, really used the program that I ultimately did to save my life. I mean, I do totally believe that, because I am in a very different place today than I was the day that I walked into that office.